Hey there, guys and gals. Books are great. I'm going to show you what's inside of them, what it looks like. But before we get into that, I got to say thank you to the company because I've gotten pretty much everything that they've released map-wise and like 2D terrain-wise. And I've made videos in the past. You probably may have seen them. Apparently, 1985 Games also saw them. So huge shout out to you guys for being amazing in pretty much everything you've done so far, and I'm sure everything you do in the future as well. But they saw my review on Dungeon Craft Volumes 1 and 2, and they were like, do you want to do some more reviews? Do you want to see some more products? And I was like, hell yeah! So huge thank you to Dungeon Craft. Huge thank you to specifically Lenny, who is the one who responded to my emails, and I'm guessing also left a comment on my YouTube channel as part of 1985 Games. Again, thank you to the whole company, but specifically to Lenny for reaching out to me, because that's awesome. And another thank you goes out to the players in my D&D campaign, because without you guys, I wouldn't have gotten into D&D as hard as I have, and I wouldn't have gotten all these maps and stuff. I wouldn't have ended up with some amazing dungeon notes from Dungeon Craft. And just thanks all around, everybody. And also thank you to everyone who's watched these videos to be like, what's inside of them? They helped the channel. They helped me get these dungeon notes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And now that the thanks are all out of the way, let's move right into what these are. So Dungeon Craft has two different kinds of dungeon notes. As you can see here, there's a player's journal and there's a DM's journal. The insides are slightly different. And as you can guess, the DM's journal is the one that's specifically for the DM. Player's journals are for the players. But the cool thing about them is it's not just one journal. Like in the past, I've bought adventurers' journals from other companies. Grimm specifically kickstarted a different company's adventure journals, but it was one book. The cool thing about Dungeon Crafts are that they're 3 notebooks in one. So you can get 3 times the amount of info that you would out of just one. The Dungeon Master's Journal has session journals for important stuff that happens, but also campaign journals to talk about what's going on in the world. Whereas the player's journals have more about like, oh, this is what your character's done, this is your sheet, your skills, yada, 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 that kind of stuff. But together, you have your whole campaign right there. So we're gonna pop them open. I'm gonna work on the DM's journal first, so I'll show that to you guys before I work on the player's journal. But let's check them out. Your first question about 1985 Games' dungeon notes is probably, are the journals separate? And to answer your question, yes, they are. Something specific about the DM's journals, though, is that there's actually 2 different books here. There's session notes, of which there's 2 copies, and then there's campaign notes, of which there's only 1 copy. So we're going to take a look at the campaign notes first. I happen to get the black DM's journal set, but there are other colors to get it in, so if black isn't your thing, then feel free. There's nothing on the back of any of the journal pages. Just the front has cool art though, very, very old school D&D. Your first page is credits. You guys are all awesome. You have art and you have your table of contents. One super cute thing is that it has an if found, please contact, just like those old Mead notebooks that I'm sure people still use, but most people probably bring a laptop to class at this point. But being that they're 1985 games, that's super cute. The way that the campaign notes book is set up is there's more stuff after that, but you have your world map synopsis, your pantheon, your timeline, your factions, your conflicts, important locations, important NPCs, and artifacts. And at the end of the book, there's some other stuff. But you come here, you get to make your world map. You can draw it yourself. You can paste a picture if you want to do that. But this is a good way to keep track of your world. You can put like a world creation synopsis, like how was the world created, which is kind of cool and neat. You don't usually see a lot of that. And then you have your pantheon and what the symbol of those gods are alongside all the deities. We have quite a few pages for this, so you can make your own pantheon. Then you have your timeline of events, which is super helpful. The different factions, who their leaders are, where are they, what are their goals. And conflicts, super important. Important locations, what kind of thing they are, a little bit about their leadership. So this is good, like this is your background world building. Some important NPCs that your players will come across, adopt, because they always adopt someone at some point. You have your important artifacts, stuff that everyone's searching for. And then you have your world notes. And every once in a while, there's some really cool art here and there, which is great. Love it. More world notes, more art. Some more world notes. I just hit the middle of the book. That's where the binding was. You go a little bit further into the back, and now you have maps. I'll just make sure we didn't skip anything ahead of that. Cool-ass werewolf. Maps for you to draw on the old school, like graph paper dots. Love it. I personally do a lot of maps that are like using Dungeon Craft terrain, obviously, and I usually build my map before the session because I'm sharing the dining room table with everybody in the house. I can't just leave the map out here. I take a picture. I'm thinking of using some of these pages, even if I don't draw on them. Maybe I can draw like the gist here and then like tape the picture that I use for the map as reference here, which would be kind of cool. I don't really have like geographical maps though. And then one thing that's super cool is they just included a bunch of towns and villages for you to use, and cities and some kind of fortress. Like, this is super cool, and you can mark off important locations. You can use this map for your game, because DMs like me have zero artistic talent. We need all the help we can get. And then the last page is a copy of the open game license so that Wizards doesn't come after them for any reason, or any other TTRPG group. Now, the books that you get two of are the session notes journals. They both start pretty much the same way with the credits page. Then you move on to contents. So each package comes with two journals. And as you can see here, there's space in each journal to put the contents of 20 sessions. So total 40 sessions you can go through using just one set of DM's journals, which is super cool. Like 40 sessions is a lot of sessions for one campaign. You're doing really well, DM, and your players are pretty happy, I'm pretty sure. Again, you can write in your DM's name, what the campaign is called, and if found, please contact again, which is super cute. The first page is out of context D&D quotes, which amazing. And then you have your player reference. So you have like a pretty good idea of what your players are going to do. Then when the actual session notes start, you've got creatures, characters, what their HP is, their basic stats, what they're going to do, encounter notes for how you meet them, and then an initiative tracker that you can keep here. I don't know too many people that keep track of the initiative like per mission, but I know that there are some DMs out there that make it so that the players choose like an order they always go in, and then the players function sort of like the enemies, where when you're the DM, you roll initiative for a certain enemy type, and then all those enemies go on the same turn. Some people do it, all the enemies go on the same turn, doesn't matter what type they are. And some other people do it that all the players go at the same time. So you just roll one initiative for both you and the players, and all the players go in a row. So maybe that could be helpful if you're playing that way. I think this is more useful. I mean, some people like to have notes like that, for sure. But you have session bullet points, so you know what you're supposed to hit. Or potentially, if you're a fly by the seat of your pants DM, the important things that you did hit out of nowhere. And then pages of session notes. And you get another session map. So this way you can draw in another dungeon or what have you if you want. Again, I'm going to think maybe I'll draw in like a gist of what I want to do, and then using that, take my picture of what I've actually made. And then it starts again. Again, there's 20 sessions worth of space in here. And then at the very end, let's see if there's anything different. At the very end, it looks like there's an NPC section. So you can write down the NPCs that your players will run into and inevitably adopt, especially if they were supposed to kill that NPC. Oh, that's the way it always happens. If they're supposed to kill an NPC, that dude or chick is getting adopted. Remember, again, that the DM's journal set comes with campaign notes, one book, and 2 books of session notes. And now we're going to move on to Dungeon Notes, the player's journal. Remember that unlike the DM's journal, all 3 of these books are exactly the same. There's nothing differentiating them. They're all the same book, have the same layout, have the same everything. Super cool thing about this is that you're getting 3 for the price of 1. Every book in the Dungeon Notes series is 64 pages long. So you're getting 3 of these. And generally speaking, the optimal party size is 4 to 5 players. So if you were to buy another journal from another company, like for instance, Grimm in our game, he bought everybody adventure journals, but he had to buy them separately. Cool thing about Dungeon Notes is that you get 3 in one package. So potentially you've already covered half of the players if, as a really nice DM, you're handing everybody out a journal. Obviously that doesn't happen all the time, but it's super cool that you only need to buy 2 to fill out your optimal party size party, as opposed to having to buy 5 or 4. I'm going to pop this open, show you what's inside the hero's notes. Again, you start with your credits page, which is cute. The contents for this book are character stats, your spellcasting, your proficiencies, assumed items, your companion stats, magic items, your inventory, downtime, activity tracking, and then homebrew multi-class tables, which is super cool, and then your character details. Get your player name, your campaign, your character's name, which is cool, and then again the super cute "if found, please contact." Love it. And you got some cool art. So you start with your basic character sheet, of course. Your weapons, your features and traits all go here. I would suggest, this is just me, who I am as a person, if you're going to write in journals like this for your stuff, like what your spell table is and all that jazz, I would write in pencil, because you're probably going to change some stuff, especially if you're using it like fully to keep track of your character. Move on to a whole nother page of spells, which is great because there's never enough room for that. Your languages and proficiencies, super important stuff to know. How much money you got, your attuned item slots. I find it super cool that there's just a section for gems. Nobody ever asks you what kind of gems you have. You have your commonly used equipment, and then you can even write in your companion stats, and then what cool magic items you're carrying, some more inventory, what you've done, and what you've built in your downtime. This is super important. It's super important if I guess you're not playing like a West Marches campaign where there's actually downtime. The players in my campaign are about to have a 2-month time skip, so they can really put some time into your downtime stuff, which is great. And you have your homebrew multi-class table that tells you, what your proficiency is, what level you're at, what class you put into that, and then the features that you gain from it, which are cool. And then we get to your character details. This is all about your character, who most people will never look at again. This is the spot, the whole spot for your backstory. That's where you put in how your family died because you're edgy. And then just pages of notes, some more 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 notes, some cool pictures, some more notes, some more notes, some more notes, some more notes. I know there's something else in here. I'm gonna find it. Oh, treasure chest. Oh man, I know that there's something. Last page. Out of context D&D quotes. Which there will be plenty in your campaign. If you're doing it right, there's gonna be plenty. You're gonna have some stuff that you will remember forever, hopefully. And again, the very last page is the OGL open game license, which basically stops them from getting in trouble. I cannot tell you how cool this has been to be able to review these items. Huge shout out to 1985 Games, specifically Lenny and the whole rest of the team. Again, huge shout out to all my players. I make it sound like I have a bajillion players. Technically I have 8, which is a lot, but 2 of them don't really play the game anymore, and I've taken over their characters, so there's that. And a huge shout out to all of you out there on YouTube who aren't sure what you want to buy accessory wise for D&D or your favorite tabletop RPG of choice, and you come to my channel looking to figure out if this is something you want. Without any of you guys, I wouldn't be here making this video, so I definitely appreciate you. And with that, I'll make my usual call to arms at the end. And saying it's a call to arms, like calling it out for what it's supposed to be while you're talking about D&D, just makes it sound so much cooler. So if you like what you saw, leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, sub, and I'll see you guys and gals in the next one.